Okay, wonderful.
Welcome, Olivia.
Hi.
So you happen to be the only student who's joined us today, which is a little unusual, but I'm guessing there are classes at this time. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What health career are you looking at this stage?
Well, I wasn't sure if I was supposed to come to this one or to the STEM one.
Okay.
I'm technically majoring in microbiology, but I'm interested in pre-med.
Okay.
So I wasn't sure if I should come to like the health sciences one.
Sure. I mean, I'm a pre-health advisor here on campus. So I work with all our pre-meds, not all of them, but my colleague and I together.
I get your emails. Yeah.
Good. So, yeah, we can, I think what we have to share here can be useful for you, but you may also choose to go to the STEM one just to see any differences.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll be talking, I think in the STEM one, our colleagues from Arcadia, which is a company that we partner with, will be presenting primarily about their research opportunities over the summer. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, that would be a good one to hop into as well.
Yeah, and of course for pre-meds, research is important. So that could be a really great opportunity for you.
Yeah, that sounds kind of like what I'm interested in.
Good.
And then this one will kind of do a more broad overview of options available. So
yeah, and we are going to be recording this for the sake of other people to view it. Did you see the permission come up on your screen?
Yeah.
So some of it may not have to do specifically with you, but with just broadly those who are heading toward health careers. Okay.
Okay.
Great. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So we'll cover kind of what study abroad can bring to you, what kind of benefits and why studying abroad can be helpful for your degree and for future career goals. And then what kind of options you have to study abroad or research, volunteer, intern abroad, all of those things. And then we'll open it up for Q&A as well afterwards. I think we'll take a second just to introduce ourselves, even though we've already kind of gotten rolling. My name is Erica Saunders. I work in the Education Abroad office as an advisor. I advise for France, Australia, Japan, sometimes Italy, Sweden, internships, but all around kind of general advising as well. So if you have any sort of questions along the way, feel free to pop those in the chat or just interrupt us and I'd be happy to answer those questions.
And I'm April French. I'm an advisor here in the Health Sciences Advising Office, but also a pre-health advisor for anyone pursuing careers such as medicine, dentistry, optometry, physical therapy, etc.
And we are so happy to have April joining us today so that we can kind of partner together to best advise health science majors on options for studying abroad, since we know it can get a little bit complicated with all of the degree requirements. So before we carry on, just some COVID-19 considerations. Olivia, I don't know if you've already heard these from a previous presentation, but we'll just
I have.
Anyways, for the sake of the recording. So as of right now, our summer programs have been either canceled or delayed through July 15th. For the programs that are still considering going, they will determine whether or not they can go in late spring, early summer. And then all of our other summer programs, we're working with students on a case-by-case basis. So if you still want to go and your faculty lead has been canceled or something like that, we can see if there are any other options available and what countries are currently accepting incoming students. We do plan to send students abroad for fall 2021, and we have some amazing scholarships available as well, and we'll get into that. So we're planning for full speed ahead, kind of normal study abroad opportunities for fall 2021. Obviously that could all change, but we're feeling hopeful.
That That made me pretty nervous coming into this like fair. I wasn't even sure if I should even think about it for this year or next year. So I'm glad you guys are kind of thinking about that.
Yeah, it is. It's been kind of a roller coaster, I would say, for this field and for studying abroad. We do have students abroad right now, so it's not impossible. Just takes a bit more planning.
Yeah, and if you're ever in a space where you feel that you'd like to consult with not only Erica, but another advisor regarding timing of when would be best to go in terms of your program and preparation for your profession and things like that, we're happy to also speak with you.
And I would say that's probably even an important step to think about, regardless of COVID times, and even more important during COVID, since things are so uncertain. Anyways, you know, if you were to plan for next fall and it were canceled, you would need to know what kinds of classes to be signed up for in the event that you need to attend classes at UW as well. We are asking students to sign a waiver, just acknowledging the risks. You could get COVID while you're abroad. So that's what that waiver is about. And then we are happy to advise you on any sort of quarantine requirements depending on where you go. They do vary considerably across the world. For example, Australia and New Zealand are not accepting any people coming into their countries right now. So, you know, we researched that and we have all the most updated information on all of that. So that's kind of the COVID spiel, but the theme of our fair is kind of future planning and thinking about study abroad post-COVID. So hopefully with that, we can talk about why studying abroad is important in the health profession. Do you want to take this, April, or should I go ahead?
Yeah, sure. So essentially, it's great to talk with a career advisor, like a pre-health advisor, or even depending on what major you're in. So Olivia, you happen to be in a science major, which tracks really nicely with pre-med prerequisites. But it's good to just know what are the common requirements at UW in general, and then understanding what might be able to be taken abroad and what might not be able to be taken abroad, depending on the professional school to which you're aiming. So for example, medical school requires 2.5 to 3 years of chemistry, and they don't want those chemistry courses taken abroad. And therefore, at least I shouldn't quite speak for all of them, but it is a trend, right, that they typically do not want that. And so therefore you would want to focus on other kinds of courses if you were going on a course-based trip. So yeah, with nursing as well, subjects like nursing or social work, which have really clearly delineated back end of the major, timing ends up being a real challenge, and therefore, and the courses need to be taken domestically in the program because of accreditation. So those kinds of questions, we also are happy to kind of navigate with students who are in their first couple of years to understand, well, what would be the best timing for things? Maybe even for like a minor, if someone had a minor in business, right? You could take a lot of business courses at an institution, for example, things like that. So yeah, we've got also, there are a lot of, with exercise science, our kinesiology and health program, health promotion, excuse me, major, there are a lot of options internationally for learning in that space. And you would, of course, need to connect with an advisor for that. And then, of course, public health and epidemiology. With COVID, we understand how important that is. And there are many international opportunities along those lines as well for additional learning, but also hands-on internships that don't necessarily require you to be a medical professional, trained medical professional, but just go in and kind of be boots on the ground and help as needed.
That sounds really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can definitely talk about those kind of options as well. So like we've been saying, one of the most important things to consider is, you know, planning for studying abroad. So, or service learning, volunteer work, education abroad as a whole. it takes a bit of planning, and the earlier you can start planning, the better. So we like to see people, you know, in their first semester all the way up through. You can go your last summer before your senior year, and then it starts to get a little bit too tight. So that is why we recommend coming in straight away and talking with us, and then your academic advisors as well, just because of those kind of time crunch requirements and making sure that you don't delay your graduation at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because of the timing, I would say that, you know, for any sort of pre-med, pre-health, you know, kind of and STEM in general, actually, the summer and January term options are probably safer in terms of timing. We offer so many faculty-led courses during the summer, and if those aren't, you know, kind of specific to your major or what you're looking for, there are lots of service learning, volunteering, internship opportunities over the summer through what we call a program provider, and I'll go into that as well. That would be great options.
Yeah, and so one thing I would say here with respect to shadowing in particular, there are some very, very pricey international shadowing opportunities, and they're great. I mean, you get great shadowing opportunities, but medical schools and other professional schools require domestic shadowing. So it's nice for you to write that up in your application, but if that's the only shadowing you have and you don't know what to expect in the US, that can be problematic. With research, I think there may be a bit more flexibility that way, but sometimes students utilize research as an opportunity to have a letter of evaluation from a US faculty member. And so that can be a challenge if the only research you happen to have done was overseas. If you're also, though, continuing to pursue research opportunities at UW, then that works just fine. And in those science majors, there's a great opportunity for that. So.
All right, so we've kind of talked through this as well, but just kind of articulating again what studying abroad or really any sort of international experience can bring is important. There are a lot of benefits. I've studied abroad quite a bit. I've spent, let's see, 2 semesters in France and 1 semester in Italy. I wasn't a science major, but I think just learning about the world and how other people operate is a really important skill these days. The world is becoming much more globalized and internationalized every day, as we see with Zoom. You know, anybody from anywhere can join any meeting. So it's an important skill to have. And, you know, you'll learn lots of things like problem solving, flexibility, all those kinds of transferable skills that are important for your career. Study abroad is a great way to kind of gain those as well. Do you want to talk about the kind of specifics to health sciences?
Yeah, so I've lived and traveled abroad quite extensively myself, spending most of my time in Russia, but in other locations, certainly, of course, foreign language, and really gaining a deeper appreciation of other cultures is such a huge asset. And one thing we do, of course, so one thing we just want to say, I guess, to students who are heading toward professional health careers is that schools are looking for people who have cultural competency, who have exposure to other cultures. And so studying abroad is part of that possibility. Like, it's a possibility of a way to gain that exposure. But they also, similar to what I said about shadowing, they do want you to have exposure and competency within the US as well, and the different diverse cultures that are right here within our borders. But I think one of the main things for me that like being abroad, living abroad, has helped with is understanding, first of all, how the US is understood in the world, and how Americans in general, right, are perceived. Mm-hmm. But then realizing that perhaps our manifest destiny understanding of life is not always the right way to go about things. And so realizing that there's a need for cooperation across cultures in order to really pursue cultural transfer, like, transfer of ideas across cultures. There's a lot of wisdom that we can miss if we have not actually engaged with other cultures.
Yeah, and I would add to learning about the way other people think helps you learn about how you think and how you approach the world as well, which is really helpful, going into any sort of next step opportunities as well. I think I learned the most about myself living abroad, so that's also kind of a huge benefit.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have quite a few options in terms of ways to study abroad. We send students to over 400 different program types, so there's a lot of options. Obviously, not all 400 options are going to work for your so that is a caveat that I like to make. As far as exchange partners, so what our exchange partners are is a kind of one-to-one exchange. So we send a student from UW, and our partner university abroad will send us somebody to attend UW as well. So that is appealing because that means that you will pay the same tuition and fees that you pay to UW. That doesn't include housing or meals though, so that's something to keep in mind as well. These opportunities are usually semester or academic year options. Some do have summer programs as well. So that, if you're looking at our exchanges, for example, our exchange in Singapore, which has great STEM opportunities, they have a summer program as well. And then the way that credit works for these is that you would study abroad at, for example, our partner in Singapore, and then you would get a transcript from them, and then you'll transfer it back to UW, and we'll help you through that whole process as well. So that's a fairly popular option because you are paying UW tuition and fees. This is the only option for the use of Hathaway and trustees scholarships. So if that is a scholarship that you have and you want to be able to use it to study abroad, exchange is the only way that you will be able to do that. So that's something to keep in mind. For example, with our program providers, so these are organizations that we partner with to expand our reach across the world. We only have 33 exchange partners, so that doesn't even cover all of the countries in the world. So if you want to go to a country where we don't have an exchange partner, our program providers like CEA have most likely a center there or a partnership with a university where you can go and study abroad there. These organizations also specialize in volunteering abroad, interning abroad, and research abroad. So if you're interested in those kind of opportunities, it's likely that you will be going through a program provider. For these, you will be paying their tuition and fees directly to them. So how it works is you wouldn't be paying tuition to UW, you'll just be paying it to them. And you'll be registered in kind of a placeholder course. And then these opportunities are fairly flexible in terms of timing. You can go for as little as 2 weeks, up to 12, or even sometimes 16 over the summer. There are options in that break in January. The timing does get a little crunchy depending on the way the date that our spring semester starts. So that's something to keep in mind, but we have had students do J-term opportunities fairly often. And then also semester or academic year programs. These are also, yeah, go ahead.
So you mentioned that you can only use like scholarships and stuff with the exchange partners. So if I have a scholarship and I go for however long, part of my scholarship says that I have to have 12 credit hours enrolled. Will that like placeholder class fulfill those?
So if you're going for a semester, yes. So you will be registered for the minimum of 12 credits if you are going for a semester. If you're going for a summer program, it's not likely that you'll be able to take a full semester load, because those are usually, less. A semester is 15 weeks.
Mhm.
So that might get a little bit difficult. But there are other outside scholarships that you can apply for that would help cover the cost of the summer programs. And for our faculty directed programs, there is a trainee scholarship that we give automatically to UW students who are enrolled in faculty led programs. So that's good as well. Our direct enroll partners function like exchange partners, except they're not sending any students our way. We're just sending UW students to them, which means that you would be paying their tuition and fees. Some of that can get fairly pricey, but some of it is actually affordable. For example, our direct enroll partner in Australia, Sunshine Coast, their tuition for this upcoming year is around $7,500. But again, that doesn't include housing or meals, which in Australia can get fairly expensive. So those are things to keep in mind. And then direct enroll is also going to be transfer credit. Faculty directed programs are with UW students and UW faculty or staff who have designed a course specific to UW curriculum, and it's very often specific to a major. Some of them though, like for example, the program that we have one that does like a kind of France, UK, Italy history. So that one's pretty open to a lot of majors. So it just depends on what the faculty are teaching. Those are often during the summer, and it'll be a UW course for UW credit, so you don't have to worry about transferring anything back. And these programs are our most popular, with around 70% of our students going abroad participating in these. And on our website, we do have an Explore Programs page. So if you ever want to look at these specific options that we have for each type, those would be on that page as well. Okay, so for specific options, let me show you this kind of virtual table that we've created. If you've ever attended a in-person study abroad fair, usually it's full of tables or booths. So this is kind of what we've created as a virtual booth, just to kind of identify a few key partnerships and programs that would work well for health science majors. Our partner in the UK, Swansea University, is well known for kinesiology, and our partner at the University of Glasgow is also well known for kinesiology, but also pre-med and physiology. Now, it is really important to talk to your academic advisor if you're considering these options, because they are going to be a semester. So the timing of it is really important. And then we also work with a partner called ICEP, and they function like an exchange or a direct enroll partner. And they have hundreds of partners across the world. So if you wanted to go to, for example, Costa Rica or Estonia, they have partners everywhere. And we just wanted to highlight some of these kind of more unique opportunities. And then over on this side, we have a few links to our partners, our program provider partners. And these are programs, for example, if you click on each one, it'll take you to the page where you can learn about the different options that they have for each continent. And then it'll tell you what kinds of majors.
Right. So like biomedical sciences, you could see, I'm wondering, it would be really interesting to go to Korea. You might be able to work in a research lab where the PI speaks English and some of the grad students there speak English. And do biomedical research. Would be kind of interesting.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. And what's great about these program provider options is that they, usually have, if you're looking for courses, they usually have course descriptions or syllabi available. So you can take those and see if that's something that would, work for what you need in terms of course credit. Or if you're looking for an internship, they work with you specifically to find a customized placement for you that would, fit your goals and in terms of research or where you want to be in the world and that kind of thing. So they're really great and it's a wonderful opportunity. So I'll just go back here to our presentation. All right, so that link is on this presentation and it's also up in the FAIR page. So if you are looking for this link, it is on our FAIR page.
Mm-hmm.
The application process is fairly simple. First, you need to create a profile in our Cowboys Abroad portal, which is also on our website. And then that will just kind of tell us that you're interested in studying abroad, and it'll be how you make an appointment with one of us advisors in the Education Abroad office. So then you'll meet with someone like me, myself, or one of my colleagues to discuss your goals for studying abroad, where you want to go, and then we'll work together to find a program that fits for you. Once you decide on a program, we will assign you to that program in this Cowboys Abroad portal so that you can start the study abroad application. The application consists of a short essay on why you want to study abroad. Luckily, you'll have already discussed that with us, so it shouldn't be too hard to type that out. And then it'll also require a academic evaluation from your either academic advisor or a faculty member that you're close with. And they'll just receive an email that says, please fill this out. So it's not as intense, I would say, as a letter of recommendation. But still, people like a little bit of advanced notice. So
yes, I can attest to that.
Yeah,
we prefer to have spoken with you about your hopes and things like that before getting the email. So
yep. And so when you'll talk with us, we'll say, please go talk to your academic advisor. And that's when you can ask for the recommendation.
Olivia, what was your question?
Oh, just we ask our academic advisor for that. I'm a little worried about getting like letters of recommendation and stuff because I haven't actually met any of my professors last semester or this semester.
Right.
So
no,
and that's, I think, why they allow academic advisors to, because those are often the first people you start getting to know on campus. So
yeah. And especially if you're trying to go, your first semester sophomore year, which often is, sophomore year might be kind of the best time to go abroad if your timing is crunchy at the end of your degree. We definitely get it, and an academic advisor can they can fill it out, no problems. And then it'll also ask for a transcript, and then we'll review that and then work with you to complete whatever the next steps are depending on your program of choice. In terms of application deadlines, this is important to note. It's also on our website, on our academic timeline page, and on the application steps. So if you ever need a refresher, this is all on our website. Oops. If you are hoping to study abroad for the summer, so we've extended this deadline to March 15th this year because everything is fairly uncertain. So to give people more time to figure out if the countries are allowing students to come March 15th, or, if you're thinking of a summer faculty-led program and that decision hasn't been made yet, don't worry about that. For the fall though, and academic year, our application deadline is March 15th. So that's coming up. And then J-term or spring programs, those would be in the fall. So basically how it works is you need to apply the semester before you go at least. to give you time to plan and to get visas and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Our number one question, I would say, in advising is cost and scholarships. So this page might look simple, but it's probably the most important in addition to, you know, the academic side of things. Costs vary depending on program type. Like I said, if you're going on an exchange, you can use a Hathaway or a trustee's scholarship. If you choose a program provider route, you can use any other outside scholarships. So those kinds of things are questions that you can ask us in our advising sessions. But to keep in mind, you know, the location, the longer you go abroad, the more expensive it will be. And if you go to a big city, for example, that's going to be more expensive than somewhere rural. If you want to go to a small city in the east of France, that's going to be less expensive than Paris. And then things to consider are airfare. Generally speaking, airfare is not included in the program fees for program providers or for our exchange partners. Sometimes if you're on a faculty-led program, that can be part of that fee. But generally speaking, airfare and visas are not included in those costs, so that's something to plan for as well. There are scholarships that you can apply for that will cover those costs, so that's something that you can ask us about as well. And then kind of thinking about housing and living expenses, obviously those things vary as well depending on location. Rent is going to be, usually you won't be paying rent unless you don't get the housing offered through our exchange partners or the program providers, but you know, that depends on location as well. As far as scholarships go, our trainee scholarship for study abroad is one of the largest scholarships for study abroad in the country for a public university. So that is really great. Usually we give around $300,000 worth of scholarships. Obviously this year we haven't been able to because we haven't sent as many students abroad. So that does mean that we have more money to give for the fall of 2021. So it's kind of a one-time thing where we do have more trainee scholarship money to give out. So if you are thinking studying abroad for fall 2021 and you have a 3.0 GPA, definitely apply for the trainee scholarship. And then we also have a UniWyo scholarship that's also up to $2,500. Each program provider that we work with also offers their own specific scholarships. And they also usually offer a merit-based and a kind of needs-based one, so you can apply for both, that kind of thing. There's lots of scholarships to be had out there, and the more that you apply for, the more likely you are to get money. So we talk about this in our advising sessions, but you can also find all of this information on our website on the Money Matters page. There's a full list of all of the scholarships available on that page as well. All right, any questions about scholarships before we move on? No? Okay, great. Just to kind of wrap up, we do have some upcoming events. February 22nd is National Study Abroad Day, so keep on the lookout for some new events that we're going to do for that. We'll probably do something like trivia or attend an information session and we'll deliver you a pizza, something like that. We also are hosting a Gilman workshop. So this scholarship is for students who are Pell eligible. So if you receive a Pell Grant, this Gilman scholarship is specific to you and it's up to $5,000. So that one would be a great scholarship workshop to attend. There is our March 15th study abroad application deadline as well. We will be hosting a Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Week in March. If you have questions about logistics, things like how do you get a cell phone? What does a plane ticket even look like? How do I get one? What is a visa? All those sorts of questions. We will be hosting a session on April 5th on that information. Our trainee scholarship deadline, as well as any of our other UW specific scholarships for study abroad, that deadline has been extended to April 30th. It's usually March 15th. So we've given people a little bit more time just because everything is a little bit uncertain. And then we'll also be covering a visa specific information session on May 3rd for any students, thinking for summer, or likely if you're going for the summer, you won't need a visa. But if you're thinking for fall, we'll be hosting a visa information session. So those are kind of upcoming events. And then I think, Olivia, you've probably already heard this spiel, but we are doing a contest. So to enter the contest and win a prize for attending the fair, you can scan this code. And then we are partnering with SOAR as well. So if you want points for SOAR, you can scan that code as well. All right. And then part of the contest is a secret location. So we're doing a clue a day, and today's clue is that we have 2 exchange partners in this city. And this is a photo of the city.
Mm.
Yeah. So we'll see if anybody can guess it correctly.
Olivia, do you have a guess?
Is it Copenhagen?
No, but it is in Europe, so you're on the right track. Yeah, but if you wanted to look at our list of exchanges, that is also on our website.
Great.
All right, and if you have any questions, this is our general email, but my personal, work email is also on the website or on the beginning of this presentation, so feel free to reach out to me individually as well. And all of our advising for this semester is on Zoom. All right, any questions?